Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of A Coffee with Chris, the social media show that helps you create impact. As always, brought to you in association with our charity partners, Big C, who help local people affected by cancer, and Game Plan Coffee, Paddy and Scott's very special coffee partnership with the High Performance Foundation. Every single bag of those beans that you buy for your business helps them support the work of the High Performance Foundation, funding programs that help young people across the UK develop the mindset and tools to thrive in life, not just survive it. So if you're like me and you're absolutely addicted to your coffee, yep, that's right, it's almost done before the show's even started, grab yourself a bag. They've actually just dropped these off. Check this out, folks. Some absolute monster bags of coffee. I've now been kitted out with Earth Coffee and their lunchbox range, and I can testify that it is absolutely delicious. So big up to Paddy and Scott's. Also big up to our sponsors, ever present as always on A Coffee with Chris, Oliver Hill from Hill Coaching Company, Gemma Crane from Minds HR, and Callum Howard from Luminous Film and Media. Let's welcome today's guest. He's back for a round two, and his name is Ollie Mowles. He's the founder of 𝗖𝗵𝗁. 𝗖𝗵𝗁 is a UGC agency that drives sales with social-first video and improves ad performance. That's key for today, using modular approach to content production, curing ad fatigue for brands. Ollie, just kick us off, my man, because we discussed this behind the scenes and you're like, Chris, whoa. I can't just do one and done. Like, I need to come on. I need to share the message with your growing community and kind of divulge. So talk to me about the subject that you're covering today. It feels like the rules of marketing are changing dramatically, and off air before we started, you'd started to divulge some of the real kind of gold nuggets as to why that is the case. Why are the rules changing, Ollie?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for that introduction. You're absolutely right. The part one was what content do brands need to be creating for, their ads and what should they be putting out. But more and more I'm speaking to brands and as you said, speaking to you off air, brands are then wondering what to do with that content and actually wondering why perhaps the content that they're sharing at the moment, whether it's UGC or otherwise, isn't performing. And one of those crucial things is the iOS 14 update. Privacy has really been clamped down, rightly so in many senses, but we work in the world of marketing and marketing was flipped on its head when that happened. And it's going to continue to happen where we as marketers and brands out there that are paying for ads previously used to target based on people that had visited their site, interests, that kind of thing. And there is such a thing as server-side tracking. I totally acknowledge that. But for brands that maybe haven't got a paid ads manager, they need to understand why those ads aren't working. So that's really what we're going to talk about today is how can we kind of arm businesses and brands with a little bit more information about the way that platforms have evolved, why perhaps ads aren't performing as well as they once were, and what to do to improve it. That's really... So
come on, Ollie, geek me out, geek us all out then. So if a business owner is still relying on those traditional sales funnels and polished ads, what's the first thing that they should change to evolve into this new world that you're excelling in for your clients?
So the first thing is to diagnose your problem. So there is no point in prescribing a solution. We could both sit here and prescribe a solution without, blindly, without actually looking into ads. But that's the first thing that brands need to do is diagnose the problem. Is the problem the audiences are? We'll talk about video predominantly today, but is the video view time? And there's a little setting in your ads manager that you can play with that basically shows you the drop off of audience and its watch time percentage. And that's often broken down into 100%, 75, 50, 25, 0. If people drop off at 25%, your hook is your weak link. If they drop off at 50 to 75, it's the main body of your video that hasn't got enough value. Maybe the editing of it wasn't engaging enough, or actually the content within wasn't valuable, relevant. And often that might be clickbait kind of content because the hook was great. It captured audiences, but the content in the middle just wasn't relevant to them. So they tuned out, they scrolled on. And then 100% is very, you know, I don't even make videos that, you know, have 100% view time and watch time. But the idea is to extend that view time throughout the video as long as possible. And you do that with relevancy, the quality of that, of the creator that you use, or the creative that you're using in that video. And really what all of that does, it will feed the algorithm on the platform that you are advertising on. Generally, we're talking about Meta for a lot of e-com brands and other brands as well, and businesses. What that does is it feeds the algorithm that this is a valuable piece of content for a certain type of audience. We're going to push that out to more people, or within that kind of bracket of people. And the reason it does that is because generic ads get pushed to a broad audience. It's because Andromeda, so we've moved on from iOS now, the privacy thing, content is your new targeting. Andromeda view the first 3 seconds. I think we touched on this in the last episode, where Andromeda's update it's very clever, very scary. It will view the first 3 seconds of the ad that you put live, and it will assess it for the verbal cues, the written cues, the audio cues, and it will assign certain signals to that piece of content in a very similar way to TikTok and other platforms that they do to how do we present this to the right person? Who is this piece of content for? They're now applying that same algorithm analysis of a piece of content in the ads world. So you're no longer, as a brand, targeting by the audiences that you or I as an ads manager might have previously, you know, set the campaign up as. It's actually the creative that informs the platform, and that then in turn leads to who that ad goes out to. So this last couple of years has really evolved in the way that ads are presented to people, and the way that people should be making ads as well.
I'm as sciencey and data led that is. I imagine, Ollie, our marketing friends, specifically in video, in design, are rejoicing at this news, because it actually collides quite well with this new technology, which is really, really pleasing to hear for those guys, and is music to my ears as well, because you still want people to feel something all the way through, right? And I love, just as a really real basic point for people to take away here, Ollie, correct me if I'm wrong, so there's the verbal cues, the written cues, and the
so audio, written, and visual. Yeah,
visual.
So you've got to think that imagine your video was broken down into a series of stills, because ultimately that is what video is. We don't like to think as meta about it as that, but that is what video is. It's a series of frames stitched together, and then we put audio on top of it. Facebook and these other platforms analyze those frames and can tell contextually whether the person is in the same scenario. Do they say the same words? It's really scary to think about it, but that is the world that we live in. AI doesn't just kind of generate images, videos. It can analyze images, videos, and then assign certain signals and markers to it, which actually, as marketers, is fantastic, because it means the creative, if you call out a specific kind of audience or a specific kind of pain point, you're telling that the platform, the ad platform, this is who this should be presented to. Please go and find them. Yeah. And then if it really truly does speak to those people, certainly beyond the hook, you have an ad that really performs quite well, because it's being presented to the right people, it's packaged in the right way, and then provides value.
I bet you most people that are watching this live, watching back, listening back, they've not got one of those hooks, one of those cues. They're missing visual, or they're missing audio, or verbal. Just something, even for example, something quite light touch here is I've intentionally not left my room white, and I've got some little gimmicks in the background to just keep people interested and intrigued and watching, and creating that watch time, or dwell time, as many marketers call it. Okay, so I think what we've established now, Ollie, is that content has become the new targeting. Can you kind of give us a bit more of a deeper dive into Meta's new Andromeda tool? Can you kind of give us some basics there? Because again, I think a lot of people won't have a clue what this even is.
Yeah, so it's essentially taking principles that, and this is the way that I talk about it to clients, prospective clients, and anyone who'll listen, is applying organic social methodologies, strategies to your paid ads. So the performance of an ad is often dictated not by the way that your ads kind of person, your paid ad specialist sets the ad up anymore. It is the creative, it's the media that's included within that ad that will dictate the success of that ad, not just who it goes out to, when it goes out to them. And we can dive into how the platforms have kind of copied organic social and applied it to paid there. But it really is the as you say, is the hook relevant? And then is the value within the body of the piece of content relevant to that audience still? So this is where you then look at that watch time. And then is the CTA effective? So that's when you start looking at click-through rates and things like that. You know, is the ultimate package, the total package of this ad relevant to the audience it's supposed to be, who we've generally pushed it out to, and then the platforms have identified who it should be going out to. Is it going out to them? And then is it actually generating a click-through rate that, you know, is profitable for us, is effective for us?
It's no longer kind of finger in the air hoping. You can literally definitively say it's facts don't care about feelings. I'm aware, Ollie, I'm probably asking you a similar question in a different way here, but I wanted to also kind of throw at you. If you were to just give people, business owners, marketing managers, some kind of quick fire here on, if you were to sit down and start from nothing to something and create content that people actually want to watch, critically prospective customers and current clients and customers as well, is there a no, I hate to use that word, blueprint, sorry, I've booked myself, that's a yellow card for me, but is there like a go-to that you could quickly impart upon our audience?
Generally, we use the term storytelling. So the phrase storytelling it's probably a little bit of a buzzword now in ads, particularly in video ads, whether that's organic or paid ads. But storytelling is how can you in a compelling way communicate with your prospective audience. And often the best way to do that is a peer-to-peer recommendation. That is why UGC as a concept is so popular, because it humanizes a product, it contextualizes a product, and it feels like a peer-to-peer genuine recommendation, as opposed to a brand saying, here is my product, buy it. It's here is a problem that I suffer with in my daily life. This is my solution to it. By the way, you can click the link and buy one yourself. That is the best way to kind of, you invite someone to purchase something, as opposed to shoving it down their throat and hoping they, you know, add it to their basket and complete that purchase. You need to guide them into that process through the content you share.
Which feels nicer, right? Yeah. I think I read a report, must have been a year or two ago now, around marketers being up there with legal folks, which I'm not going to name, obviously, and I might get sued in terms of like the least trusted profession in the world or something. And we can kind of combat that by going down this road, which again I love. I think that we need to do that. Ollie, we've done some wisdom, some tips, some theory. Let's just quickly bring this to reality. Could you give us an example of how this kind of these new rules, this new way of creating content has produced a significant change or a result with one of your clients, perhaps?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not a client that I've actualized any of these results with. So I'll caveat that quite early on. But I was really proud of this. It's quite kind of an algorithm, kind of a process that I've gone through with a prospective client where, I think, touch wood, going to sign this week. But it's a high-end performance sports accessory company, retails at just shy of £20. So average AOV, you're looking at £18.79 to be specific. And I want to kind of guide your listeners through this process that I've gone with them, because they came to me and said, Meta doesn't work for us. Our cost per acquisition, so CPA, I'll try not to use too many buzzwords, or if I do, I'll kind of explain them. But your cost per acquisition, so how much it costs me as a business to acquire a customer, for them to actually add something to their basket and buy it. That was at £26 on Meta. So for an average order value of £18, acquiring a customer being 26, that doesn't work. It's that they're paying money out of their own pocket to buy a customer. That sometimes is okay for brands where they know that they have a lifetime value of a customer. You know, that might be £18 a month, and they know that their customers will pay £18 a month for an average of 10 months. Great. That's an £180 average customer value. I can pay £26 to acquire them, but these guys aren't. So this is a single purchase of around £18, and they're paying £26 on Meta to acquire them. So they turned it off. They'd ruled off Meta, and I said, no, let's crunch the numbers. So it was a big back and forth of, I want all of this data from you, and I will tell you how we can make this profitable. So AOV, £18. That's their average order value. Their cost of goods is just over £4. So we have a break-even margin of £14.59, right? So that means I could spend £14.59 to acquire a customer, and if they buy it, I've spent no money because we've broken even. What my job now to do as the performance kind of element of working together is reduce that cost per acquisition, because anything below £14 means we're profitable. We're printing money, as as I like to say. So we worked out on Meta, how much are you spending to reach 1,000 people? So that's your cost per impression is CPMs, and you'll find that in your ads manager really clearly. It's how much it costs you as a business to reach 1,000 people, and that will vary depending on the industry that you're in. But as I said, these guys are in high-end sports accessories. So their cost per impression was 11 to 12 pounds, and their click-through rate for the Meta campaigns was 1.82%, and that led to a cost per click of about 62%. So that's your CPC of 62 pence. So actually, on paper, that's quite good. 62 pence for a cost per click onto the site. 62 pence is pretty good, but their conversion rate on the site fell to 2.43%. Now, that, without any other further context, that seems like quite a nice model, but that means that their cost per acquisition is £26. I compared their Meta traffic to their organic traffic, where people have found them through search or other channels organically. Their website conversion was 4.5%, which is fantastic. So in my mind, where this goes is we need to improve the quality of the content, the quality of the traffic through your paid ads, because if we change nothing else, but the quality of the traffic, if we can ramp up that conversion rate for the same amount of traffic, you're going to start making some money. So I crunched the numbers, and if we improved their click-through rate, and we do that through, in our case, UGC, and even if we, on the bottom end of performance of 2.5%, that would be what we would hope their click-through rate to be. And we improved the quality of that traffic, so we're closer to the relevant audience that are high intent, relevant, and we reached that 4.59% site average of conversions. That reduces their cost per acquisition to £10.46, which means our ROAS sits at return on ad spend, sits at 3.43x, which is fantastic. That means for every pound you spend, you're getting 3.4 times that back into your pocket. So suddenly, and the numbers we gave it, they're spending about £500 a month on ads. Previously, that £500 would have got them £346 in revenue, which is just mental. No wonder they turned it off. That changes to £1,700. So those tweaks to the content that we're going to make through UGC improves the quality of the traffic that comes to their site. That will in turn increase their conversion rate. Suddenly we're in the money, right? So that's the idea. And then on top of that, if we can increase their average order value from £18 for one pack of their product to 2, we double that. So and we can do that with the messaging within the ads that we're going to create. So you can see, hopefully, that's an example where, you know, the quality of the content, nothing else can have that knock-on effect to essentially print money. That's what we're in the e-commerce game for, right?
I love speaking with people that back things up with numbers so definitively. And for so long now, people have thought of marketing as this wishy-washy, nice to do. And it just seems now, Ollie, like from what you've shared there, that we are well and truly on this journey to being super, super defined. And I love that you're reducing that ad fatigue, you're saving money, you're making money. It just works. We had Marcus Hemsley on of Fountain Partnership a while back now, and he's massively into improving the quality of the traffic. You can just throw any old traffic at a website and hope that it sticks, right? But improve the quality, of course, improve your website too. Just quickly, Ollie, we've had a comment on LinkedIn from Kimberly Myhill. Hello, Kimberly. She's joined late. Well, don't worry about that because you can watch it back, Kimberly. And she wants to know your name. So, Ollie, I'll let you reintroduce yourself.
Yeah, no worries. So, hi, Kimberly. My name's Ollie Mowles. I run an agency called 𝗖𝗵𝗁𝗲𝗲. We're a UGC agency, predominantly working with e-commerce brands, but I found myself working with digital products, mobile apps, out of home kind of businesses as well. But that's me.
Love that. People want to know, we give them answers. There you go, Ollie.
Indeed.
You said you shared something off air, and I want to get your take on it on air, Ollie. It was a Daniel Priestley comment, and I think we're kind of leaking into the moving forwards piece now. How do businesses prepare for the future when it comes to this sort of thing? Because everyone's talking about, you know what, the two letter word. Yep. But yet you've got something that perhaps contradicts that slightly. So divulge more, please, Ollie.
Yeah. So everyone talks about AI, right? AI search engines. AI is AI LLMs. So large language models. They are the future, supposedly. And they are. They're fantastic. I use AI in my day-to-day life. I'm sure you do too. But operationally, what Daniel Priestley said, who's a very smart chap, check him out if you've never watched any of his content, kind of marketing related in all aspects. He talks a lot at the moment about how everyone's obsessed with AI's and large language models' capabilities in their algorithms to kind of predict things and help with search engine queries and that kind of thing. But what he's seeing and what he wants to talk about a lot at the moment is that actually a lot of these social media platforms, the likes of TikTok and Meta, have so many data points about you, about everyone watching, that actually their models are far superior at presenting relevant content to engaged audiences at the right time. And when you think about it, that's totally right. You know, search engines are fantastic at scouring through websites, and if you're what is it for AI, AIEO or something instead of SEO? Yeah, something like that, right? But actually, when you think about TikTok, you are scrolling and you don't realize it. But for the length of time that you stay on a particular video, you're informing some very clever algorithms what you are interested in that very moment. And the interesting thing about that is a lot of these platforms are now feeding that data into their paid ads and their paid ads models. And that's where kind of this Andromeda update is so powerful, because if the content within your ad is relevant and very clearly defines who it's for, the problem it solves, etc., that is going to be presented to the most relevant audience, far more relevant than a paid ads manager previously used to be able to do it based on interests.
Love to hear it, Ollie. And this is an area that's really exciting me massively. Gary Vaynerchuk was talking about this, who's very much a thought leader and future thinker when it comes to social media, investor in all the platforms, etc. And he was talking about this transition from social media to interest media. So perhaps I should change the name of the show to the Interest Media Show, maybe read Interest Media. You don't have to now build up this mass following if you're consistently posting content that's interesting, relatable, educational, it's hooking people in, etc. If you're being goddamn consistent, folks, then you're going to leave a digital footprint and hooks for people to grab upon. And I think it's like a super exciting time because there's not this massive barrier now where you have to build a page. Of course, it helps with credibility, but you don't have to build a page of 10,000 followers. It could be one amazing piece of content that completely changes your business and the course of your career forever. So very excited to hear all of that, Ollie, and backed up by your brain is quite something. Ollie, I'm so aware of your time and how much you can cover. What should people do next when it comes to getting hold of you and your time and what you could potentially do for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So because I've done this financial modeling now for a business, I want to do it for more, because if anyone listening, anyone at home, all the listeners out there, are thinking Meta isn't a profitable platform for them for whatever reason, or perhaps their profitability is dwindling, their return on ad spend is falling, mate, something's going wrong, help. I can help. We can go through that financial modeling. It takes a bit of back and forth on email for me to make sure that you're giving me all the right data that we need to do it, but we can really carefully project what small impact, like an improvement to the click-through rate of your ads, and I can help you work out how we do that, will have this knock-on effect, this trickle-down effect of improving actually the money that comes in, and for every pound you spend, rather than it costing you money, making it, make you a lot more money. That's, how can we make £1 work a hell of a lot harder for you? So if anyone wants me to do that, please just get in touch, whether that's via email or grab me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find. There aren't a lot of Moleses, but Ollie, OLLIE_MOWLES, and then I'm Ollie at peoplesay.co.uk on email.
Love it. Stop burning through your budgets, people, and speak to Ollie today. I could highly recommend it. Thank you so much for your time, wisdom, strategies, tips, and tricks shared today, Ollie. I'm very, very grateful for your time again, sir.
Thanks for having me on. Pleasure, as always.
And thank you so much to everyone watching live, watching back, listening back. If you've enjoyed this Coffee with Chris, then do give it a thumbs up on YouTube, subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, review, comment, like, share, all that stuff that makes a massive difference to me landing more brilliant business brains like Ollie Mowles. Thank you once again for tuning into a Coffee with Chris, and I'll see you this time next week for another one.